Hello, good afternoon. My name's Austin. I'm the host for the LouRaePodcast. Today, my guest, Jason Lois. He's an artist, he's a world traveler, and he's bringing a lot of art in for Louisville, and we're really happy to have him. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Austin. I appreciate you all having me out here and give me a platform in which to talk about all the things that I've been able to do and things that are coming up this year and future projects. So
Yeah, you're bringing a lot of art to the Louisville art scene. It's really exciting.
it's definitely fun to go around town and see projects that I've done, murals, pieces that are up in local establishments. So, but there's so many more places for art to go, and I'm looking forward to putting them up there.
Now, you grew up in southern Wisconsin, right?
So southeastern Wisconsin, yeah, that's I mean basically like a northern suburb of Chicago because you could be in downtown Chicago in like 45 minutes. But yeah, yep, from Wisconsin. Grew up a Bears fan in Cheesetown, so it's not really a common thing. But yeah, I just went back there for a cousin's wedding not too awful long ago, so it was good to go back up home. All my dad's family is from up there, so he's one of 22 kids. That's another podcast for another day, though.
22, huh?
Yeah, 22 kids. It's pretty wild. So I'm the only one though, so I don't have any siblings. I think he learned his lesson early on.
With a huge family like that, did you find any like people to look up to, like any artists in your family? Were you the only one? Where'd your support come from?
Really, it's something that I just had as a kid and have continued to cultivate my entire life. Early on, it was more of like replicating what other artists had done. I remember just drawing freehand the Appetite for Destruction Guns N' Roses album cover, and just being able to do that. And then people are like, "Man, you're an artist," and I was like, that didn't even really resonate with me at that time. And then as I grew older, my grandparents and parents would be like, "Hey, there's a pretty scenic landscape. Would you paint that for us or whatever?" And you go to my parents' house and there's all kinds of like scenic, landscape paintings, Bob Ross style, like happy little trees and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But it was never really like it wasn't me. I would gladly did it for them and loved doing it for them. Um, but it just wasn't as an artist what I wanted to create and where I felt like I was fulfilled as an artist. I mean, even when I was in high school before I became an athlete, like if I liked a girl, I'd paint her a picture and it would be of that like landscape kind of S thing or whatever. And as I grew older and started posting things online, social media comes along and people from high school start following you or being friends with you on social media. I had several of these girls reach out to me and say, "Hey, I still have like the painting that you did when we were like freshmen or whatever in high school." And I'm like, well, that's pretty awesome. They're married, happily married, kids or whatever, but they still had that piece, which I think is pretty cool. Vastly different art than what I create now, but the fact that they even still kept it was pretty dope.
Art can really make an impact on people and really kind of shape their lives in that way.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure, absolutely. I know it's definitely made an impact on mine.
Yeah, for sure. So when you came to Louisville, were you working on that initial like artistic vision? Did you kind of find it here, or tell me about that?
So I think just life happens. I was in the cigar industry for 14 years, and I had always used my artistic ability for that outlet. I've made cigar bands and packaging for boxes and marketing for all of those kind of things, and like I've really been honing in on that artistic ability the last 10 years, really trying to hammer in and like provide to clientele, doing commission pieces and stuff like that for the last 10 years. But it had always kind of been on the back burner as something that I did more of a hobby, not as a professional, um, you know, occupation. And pandemic happens. I think everybody had to kind of pivot and do, different things. And I felt like that was a time that I could retire from the cigar industry, so to speak, and just kind of really hammer down on creating and making custom pieces for people, and just kind of making it more of what I did from a daily grind perspective. And I've really been hitting the ground hard, doing murals, creating, doing sneakers, hats, canvas art, whatever I can. Basically, you stand still long enough, and I'll paint you too, Austin. So I mean, it is what it is, and my art has significantly evolved because of that. So I'm thankful for that. Not very many people can say that they were thankful for the pandemic, but it did allow people to sit back and reflect on, what am I doing? Is it sustainable? Can I continue to do this? Is it what I want to do? So I feel like there is probably a lot of people that had those same kind of introspective kind of conversations, whether it be with themselves or with themselves and a loved one or family or whatever. And then, kind of change their life's trajectory, so to speak. So
Yeah.
definitely happened for me.
Yeah, you said you found your voice and your kind of artistic vision in like the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was all kind of building up to that.
For sure.
Was there like a spark or something that happened where you were just like, this is me now?
I feel like I've always used art as a healing mechanism. I'm 45 years old. Anybody gets to that age, you've gone through one thing and another. Heartbreak. Close people in your family pass away. Whatever the case may be. I'm not going to dive too far into that, but you go through life's instances, trials and tribulations, and I always used art as that resource that I could just dive into and really kind of heal myself. And now that I label myself as an artist, and I pour myself into those, now I can alter that in ways where I can still do my unique style, but then if I'm doing a commission piece, I'm not obviously putting like those kind of like hurts and stuff into that piece, but I still use that same style that I emulate when I'm doing a personal piece for my own well-being. So I don't know if there was like that aha moment. I think it just kind of happened. It was life instances just kind of morphed over time, and all of a sudden, it's just like this is what I do and continue to do. But it wasn't like that immediate. No light bulb went off. Maybe that's maybe it should have gone off. I don't know if that's the case, but there was no aha moment. I think I was always an artist, and I just figured out over a long period of time that that's what I was supposed to do in the first place.
Yeah.
My parents were always like, you need to do something with your art. You need to do something with your art, which was great, but they never told me how.
Yeah.
They never said, hey, this is what the path that you should take or whatever. So I figured it out on my own. For the most part, friends, family played their part, obviously, but to really get my own voice, it was self-reflection that I had to kind of work through and then, be able to put onto canvas. And I feel every day I get better. And as an artist, you should. Like, it's hard for me to do like a series of paintings, which a lot of artists do. They'll go through periods of time where they're like, a black period or a dark period or whatever. They'll have like a series of same themed creations, right? Well, if there was 10 creations in that series, I feel by the time that I got to number 10, 1, 2, 3, and 4, probably I'll look back and I'm like, man, I can redo that and make it better, because by the time that I got to 10, I've learned continually, like, oh, that didn't work. I played with this. It worked better. So yeah, it's that forever evolving creative that I just look back at things that I even created last year and I'm like, wow, that was good in the moment in time, but I feel like my art evolves as well as I evolve. We all get older every day, and I continue to pour different things into my art, continue to try to push boundaries. We often can get comfortable, creating the same thing over and over again, and so I try to push myself out of that box each time that I'm in front of a canvas,
Right.
and hopefully I achieve that.
Yeah, I think so. I think your pieces are really, like you described them, they're very emotive. When you see them, you have these strings of different kind of collections of emotions that you can read a piece, like the new one that we're putting into the gallery. We'll add an image of it there, but you can read the art, take in that kind of almost poetic line that you put in there, and then also reflect on the colors that surround it and the shapes and designs. It's almost overwhelming, really. It's such a clash of different things. And that's kind of what you were saying, is like this ever-evolving art that no matter how long you have the piece, it will always speak to you in different ways.
Right.
And you once said that as like a piece stays in your home, maybe, it'll speak to you as the years go by,
Right.
and as you accumulate experience. And in that way, you as the artist have a connection to the buyer or the viewer of your pieces.
For sure. This is what I've often said this, like, it takes talent to put any paint, whatever kind of medium that you do on canvas or sculpture or anything like that. It takes talent to do landscapes and pretty ocean scenes and whatever, like the changing of fall leaves. Like, it takes an immense amount of talent to do that. Some of artists are so good that it looks like a photograph, but it's not. It's a paint stroke and whatever. That's just not me, though. That doesn't fulfill me. It's not to say that mine is better or worse than those creatives. It's just different, and it doesn't fulfill me as an artist, because that painting of that scene, whatever it may be, it takes somebody that's viewing it to a vacation, a destination that they've never been to, that they've dreamt about going to, or maybe it's reminiscent of a vacation or a place where they went to with family, and maybe that family member is no longer with us, and that piece reminds them of that person in that place, in that moment, that snapshot in time. That's great. When I create my pieces, I put so much depth and layers into my work, because I want you to look at it now and see things, and then 6 months from now, I want you to be thinking and just like, oh, like that's what was going on. That's what happened. Or maybe it's like, oh, well, I needed that saying right now in this moment in my life. I didn't need it 4 months ago, 8 months ago, 2 years ago, but I need it now. And this speaks to me in this moment. And maybe 2 years down the road, there's another part of that same piece that speaks to them in a different way, that it's that constant emotion or emotive piece that's where I feel like I'm actually doing something, not just throwing paint on a canvas.
Yeah, that's an incredible connection, because as you said, you put all this in motion and kind of freeing yourself as a healing mechanism.
For sure.
Right?
100%.
And then you hope that people, and I'm sure they do, they are beautiful pieces, also when they look at them, get that same kind of healing mechanism. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like an energy source for a lot of people. Yeah. It has its own life force, and it grows with the people
right.
as they have it in their house or wherever they may put it.
I can't make you feel one thing or another, but I want you to feel something. I can't decide for you what you feel. Like it maybe one of my pieces brings up a traumatic experience, but because that experience was brought up in you, maybe you're able to create and get out that traumatic experience because you stuffed it away. You put it in that closet and you forgot about it for years, and now you saw that piece, so that emotion came back up, and maybe you take to heart, like, well, Jason is healing from putting his trials, tribulations, whatever on canvas. What if I do the same thing? Maybe that is their mechanism. Maybe that is the emotion that it just kind of transfers. The energy transfers in a way that maybe like it wasn't so positive to begin with, but it had a positive result.
Where do you find the words that you put on some of the canvases? Do they come to you? Does it kind of flow out of you? Is it agonizing?
Sometimes it's easier than others. Like sometimes the words are just flowing. But sometimes it's through research. It's through dictionary, thesaurus, like trying to find like words, because often you can get in the same like creative rut as like, all right, like I always use this terminology or that, like, well, how do I alter that but still convey a similar kind of message? Well, I mean, I don't call myself a genius. I'm not Kanye. I mean, I love Kanye, but I'm not him. And so I will use the resources that are readily available to anybody, like searching for common statements, and then just putting my own spin on something. Maybe it's a regular saying, but I did it in a way that conveyed the message that I wanted to convey. So yeah, to say that everything is just like I was laying in bed at 2 a.m. and these words appeared magically to me, that would be false. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Life instances, seeing signs or whatever, not like, the sign came to me in the middle of the night kind of sign, but like a road sign or a restaurant sign. Something can trigger memories or whatever. And then I just kind of try to record those like mental snapshots throughout the day. And then if it makes sense, then I put it into a painting. If it doesn't, how many paintings that I've had an idea and then scrapped the entire idea? Or maybe it was like, maybe 10% of this idea actually, when I put it on canvas, was so good that I couldn't not use it. Then I just like paint around it and just like, there's no like rhyme or reason to what happens creatively. It's like I've had plenty of nights where I have woken up with an idea and like had to immediately put it on canvas. Now, when I was creating in the same place that I lived, that was horrible, because I'd wake up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning and put a canvas on a wall and start painting, and then before you know it, it's 8 a.m. and you got to go to work. Now that I have a studio and have had this studio for like 3.5 years, I have to go to a place. So I have my iPad. I'll jot down little things, notes, and then I can rest easy knowing that I'm not going to forget those things that maybe I thought about or whatever, and be able to apply them in future pieces. I mean, I have ideas for works that probably go the next couple years without having to create something new, but they always alter, they always change, because life changes. Every day is something different. Every time that you're thankful to wake up, like a new set of experiences, a new set of issues will pop up. Like we were just talking earlier about how my shelves fell down in the middle of the night last night. Like, I'm not a carpenter, apparently. I'm just an artist. So, if I had to throw some paint on them, it'd been good. But, so yeah, just like I continue to catalog and just like stow things away, almost like that squirrel getting ready for winter kind of thing. Like I have all these nuts that are buried, and some of them are going to sprout and make trees, and some of them, another animal is going to pick up, and who knows. But if they're watered properly, those ideas will come to fruition and make something really cool. At least I think it is. And I have a lot of clients that would agree, that have been collectors now. I have one collector that has now 8 pieces. Literally his whole home is filled with my work, which I think is pretty dope.
That's incredible.
To have somebody believe in you that much that they don't want anything else in their house. That, I've done mirrors for them. I have one of those derby horses that I'm going to do for him, for his business. And I've done big 4 foot by 4 foot pieces that are hanging, in foyers and bathrooms and, in his bedroom and stuff. So like those kind of clients are fantastic. Now they don't have to be collector. They can just buy one piece and be done. But anybody that is willing to, stroke a check for something that you created I'm thankful for real. So
it's nice to have somebody who really sees the kind of things that you're trying to put out.
Absolutely. And then, gives you value to your time and effort that you put behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I wish that I didn't have to worry about like paying rent and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to it, like I'm an artist, yeah, and creating is part of me, but also like, the end goal is to be able to sell these pieces and, to getting into galleries like we are in right now. So, continuing that hustle and projects and stuff that I have coming up, like it's a continual thing. It's not like I haven't reached some status where I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have to do that. Nope. I'm still every day grinding. So
yeah, a rolling stone gathers no moss, It's an exciting way to live your life. You constantly let it unfold in front of you, and you take from it everything that you can,
Right.
Put it towards your creative process, and people really see that, and they appreciate that. That's why galleries exist in the first place, because
sure.
they show off the artists, their work, their dreams, everything like that. And when they find support in that, it only allows them to create even bigger, better, more evocative pieces from their artwork.
For sure. I feel like the more that I am getting in front of clients and selling pieces, like the more that I feel free to like really experiment with like new styles, new ways and pushing the envelope. So like I don't feel like I'm in some box. I paint one derby piece a year. It normally gets sold right away. But it's not something that I want to do. Now for the people that have purchased those, thank you, because that just helped keep the lights on and keep me going in the direction that I'm trying to get to. But I was against doing other things that are prevalent in Louisville and in Kentucky and being a part of bourbon barrel processes and doing those kind of things. And thankfully, I've been a part of, now I'm in the middle of my second collaboration, and hopefully that springs more collaborations with other bourbon companies. I did a collaboration with Willett in the middle of last year, and I'm in the middle of a 2-bottle deal with Subtle Spirits where I am creating the labels that will go on 2 different whiskeys. It's a straight Kentucky whiskey and then a rye. And we're in the middle of the creative process. I'm throwing paint on canvas right now. We've already done all the digital. Everybody's seen what we're putting on, and we're full steam ahead with that. So that's super cool, and I'm appreciative of that. We're looking to do a launch party in March, which will be really fun. We're going to do that here in Kentucky. And those kind of projects continuing to come, and hopefully some other collaborative items are on the way too. So
that's great, man. Congratulations. So
thank you.
How does an artist start to like build their portfolios in that way so that they can get those bigger clients? I remember you told me that you actually had to leave Louisville and go to St. Louis for a while.
Yeah. It's funny, you when you're here and everybody thinks that you're just readily available, maybe it's taken for granted. I don't know. Like I couldn't put my finger on it, but the second that I left, that phone started ringing, and there were a lot of projects that I was driving back and forth from St. Louis to be able to do here. And albeit it wasn't convenient by any stretch of the imagination, those collaborations really are on that track to being life-changing, to being career path changing, to changing the trajectory from kind of like teetering along, just being able to intermittently do it, to a trajectory of being like more of like, all right, this guy is serious about being able to provide products to these large commercial brands, you know, let's continue to utilize them and see where this goes. So yeah, I'm definitely excited. I have some big dreams and aspirations, and also kind of like Kanye, you have to be a little bit delusional to be an artist, because you have to believe in yourself, almost to that air of being delusional, because you have to think that you are that good. No brand's just gonna come and like, I want to be the next collaborative artist for Louis Vuitton. You know, I want to put my art on designer, like, luxury brands. I was inspired, was in Paris last year, saw the museum where they had all these collaborative artists that have done it in the past, and I'm like, I want this. Like, I'm manifesting it, I'm putting it out into the atmosphere. I want to be that next collaborative artist with Louis Vuitton. They're not just going to come to some guy that's sitting in the corner somewhere that, you know, isn't believing in himself, because that's just like, it's a global brand, it's a conglomerate, they own other things rather than just Louis Vuitton. You know, it's LVMH is a huge corporation. It's involved Moet and Hennessy too into that big collaboration, and it's like, to be a part of that company and to be looked at as an artist, to be able to create something for them, it's like, you have to act as if, like, you have to act as if you belong in that same room with them. So do I have a long way to grow? Yes. But every day I feel like I'm making more steps and more connections to get towards that goal.
Well, much like Kanye, your art also extends to fashion. Those shoes, did you make those?
I did, yeah.
And your Instagram is also full of, like, those Louis Vuitton bags,
right?
With your almost famous tagline.
Yeah.
I see a little bit over the city too.
Yeah, a little bit. There's some dabbles in and around some areas throughout the city. So if you see it, I didn't do it. There's somebody else probably, you know, did
just
it.
fans.
Yeah, just. And my friends always give me a tough time about the almost famous thing. So let me give you my reason for almost famous. So I think it's a big joke. It's a big knock on me.
Yeah.
Because what is the difference between being almost famous and not famous at all? Nothing. There is no difference. There is absolutely no difference between being almost famous and not famous at all. So it's like a joke to me. It's like an inside joke to me. I laugh every time that I do it, because, like, yes, do I have aspirations of getting to a certain level where I am known for what I'm creating? Absolutely, 100%. Am I there? Absolutely not. Like, that, I'm trying to get there. And then the question that gets made is, well, what happens to almost famous when you are famous? I was like, let's cross that bridge when we get there. But I actually, now I kind of have it's another knock. And it's like, once I get to that level of where, you know, whatever you deem success and fame are, is that I'm just going to put fame sucks. So it's just going to be the other way. Just be, I don't want to be it anymore. So there's always going to be, like, the you know, the caveat to what I'm putting out there. So I don't know. I just think it's funny, and, you know, I'm not a comedian. I'm just an artist. But to me, like, it works. So, you know, I'll use the same kind of script. I'll do the same kind of tagging format. But when I get to that level, I think that's the next progression, is to, like, well, you were nobody. And if I ever make it to where I deem it being successful, it's going to flip to fame sucks. SUX though, not, you know, SUCKS. So
Yeah.
got to have a little bit of fun with it. So
For sure.
But yeah. Yeah, that hasn't been said to anybody else. That's literally just been something that I've thought about in the last couple weeks. So that's not been posted. It's not been any kind of social media outlet or anything like that. So you got the sneak peek to when and if that actually happens, like where it'll evolve to.
Yeah. So what are the next steps that you feel like you're going to focus on? You've made it to quite a pretty good level. I mean, you have corporations working with you. You have a lot of local hype around you. What's next, man?
I mean, there's so many things next. Finishing up the two labels for the bottles for Subtle Spirits. First and foremost, getting that launch party um, you know, continuing to finish out commission pieces for clients that I have both locally and regionally. Continuing to hammer away at the big juggernaut of trying to be, the next collaborative artist with LVMH. I have some derby things that are in the works, that I want to accomplish. Some fashion shows. So you briefly talked about it. Not many people will take $1,000 boot and then sprinkle or splatter, paint all over them. But that's just what I like. A lot of the apparel that I have, like maybe I got it at a thrift store, but then I'll put my art on it. I've gone to Army surplus stores and bought some things, that were $5-10, but then I put my art on it. It's something so unique that people are drawn to it. So it's like I want to be able to take my art and not just have it on a wall or have it on a canvas. I do it on furniture, and I'm putting it on apparel items, bags, like you were talking about the Louis Vuitton bags. So I don't want to be just siloed as an artist that does X. I want to be able to do X and Y and Z and 1 and 2 and 3 and whatever that we can come across. Like I don't want to just have one avenue that where my art is going. So I'm definitely excited about a lot of things. The partnership with Mercury Ballroom and the Palace, where I'm taking pieces that they have a lot of amazing art that's up in the Mercury Ballroom. I don't know the last time you've been there, but they're big, extravagant pieces that have these ornate frames on them. Well, some of those pieces are amazing, and everybody walks in there, they know exactly who they are. There's a great Freddie Mercury one, there's a great Jimi Hendrix one, there's an amazing Amy Winehouse. And then some of them are like, who is this person? So I reached out to them. We're in the middle of a deal right now where I'm going to make a Harlow piece. I'm bringing it back to Louisville roots. He's sold out many shows at Mercury Ballroom, and that's going to be a great thing for not only for Mercury Ballroom but for the city. People will go in. It'll be like that social media kind of experience. It won't be the wings where people are taking pictures in front of the wings. They're going to take a picture hopefully in front of my Harlow piece that it'll be up on the wall in the Mercury Ballroom. Doing some green room things, some of the catering areas that they have in the back to make the artists feel more in an area that they enjoy to be a part of, that it's not like a drag, that they can be more at home where they are on the road for however many weeks out of the year, and this is just another spot. They should be able to come to Louisville and be like, oh man, I can't wait till I go back to to the Palace or to the Mercury Ballroom, because it was really dope, and they treated us great. We had plenty of brown water to drink on, and we had some really fun, cool art up on the walls, and it just felt more of a place where they could come and hang out rather than just another bump in the road.
For sure. And that's what we want to do too. We want to kind of elevate Louisville into this kind of art scene where people don't just pass through or don't just stop by and leave. They come back, they see the local artists really kind of elevating themselves and the scene itself.
For sure.
So how does a young, hungry Louisville artist kind of start? What can they do to kind of get to where you are right now?
Well, I fought it for years. But it just makes sense. The first thing that they need to do is have a website. It's instant credibility when you have a website. I literally didn't want it for the longest time, and then all of a sudden when I have it, it was I don't know why I didn't have it for the longest time. Because it literally, how many times I've gone to sleep and then wake up the next morning and then 4 prints have sold in the middle of the night. People shop online, and they wake up and they look on whatever, and if the mood hits them and they're like, hey, I want his art, but he can put it on coffee mugs. Well, I don't personally do that. I have a fulfillment company that takes my art, digitizes it, boom, puts it on a coffee mug and ships it out. I don't see it, and I don't have to, because they're like, I want this coffee mug, I want his art on it, boom, here we go, click, boom, and it does it, and money hits my account, they get their product, and everybody is super happy because of it. And I would have never had that if I didn't have that website and that mechanism in which to be able to fulfill those kind of offers. So first and foremost, website, and then it's documenting the process. Like, TikTok is obviously blowing up, but for artists on TikTok, it's more of like a process, or any social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. It's getting on those platforms and not just seeing the fancy picture in its finality. It's, well, how did it get to this place? Because if you've looked at my stuff, you will see multiple renditions of the same piece. It's because it started in a way and then altered over a period of time to get to where it is now. And it may change next week. It may change tomorrow. It may change next year, if I still have it. But it's showing the process. And I need to be better at actually like doing the time lapse of like the first dot of paint that hits the canvas to the last one. But I'm working on like probably 5 or 6 different ones at the same time, and I don't have a team. It's just me. So there are some artists that they have a buddy that does videography, they have a buddy that does marketing, and all of them have kind of come together, and through their different specialties, like have this association or partnership. I don't have that. So it's just taken me longer to get to where I'm at, but I'm happy with the length and time of which that it's taken me to even get to this point, because I am self-taught. It's allowed me to hone my craft, so where I put a piece in one of these restaurants or a gallery or whatever, people are like, I know this artist. I've seen his stuff before, because it is his unique style that I feel like, because of the length and time that it's taken me to get to this point, that I've been able to really hone what I put into a piece and what I bring to the table. So yeah, I'll document the process, utilize resources in the digital space as far as social media and website, and then just continue to show up. That's probably the third thing, is like,
for sure,
because if you're not consistent, then you'll never be taken seriously anyways. So credibility with the website, the process on social media, and then consistency.
Yeah. And if they come to the LouRae Gallery, we can help with that kind of setup. We can find you help with other artists, maybe Jason or any of the others that we have here. We do classes here.
Yeah, see see right now. Let's go. Let's get us some videographers that are hungry, that want to come to the studio and let's get down. So I'm an artist, and I've put my heart and soul into being able to do that. But I am not a photographer. I am not a videographer, and I know that. I try to do as much that I possibly can, but I know where my limits and strengths and weaknesses are. So yeah, I would love to try to find those local, hungry talents that want to partner up and do those kind of things, for sure, absolutely. And I hope that this gallery is a mechanism not only for me but for other artists that are also doing the same thing, where they're like, man, I'm just doing all these things by myself and I'm not gaining any traction. Hey, I've been there, so I'm still there, and there are those days that are better, those days that are worse. But hopefully this gallery is going to be a mechanism to where those partnerships are made, and maybe those times are more shorter. The learning process doesn't take as long as what I've had. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's all a learning process. But I continue to show up. I have the credibility now, and I'm just showing the process. And plus, that, I guess if there could be a fourth thing, is manifesting. There's a lot of, like, you see all these like motivational things on social media where they're like, don't don't say anything until you gotten there, and then you can say whatever. And it was like, well, I don't know if I believe that. Like, I believe that if I wake up every morning and I tell myself, I look at myself in the mirror, or I'm on a podcast talking to you guys, or whatever, and I'm saying like, this is what I want to do. This is my dream. I want to be this. I feel like those kind of energies attract things. Maybe it's not the exact same thing that I was, all right, I want to be the next collaborative artist with Louis Vuitton. Okay, well, if Prada comes calling, guess what? The dream changed. It's the same dream of being with a luxury designer like that has been around for over 100 years, doing their thing, and they want me to be a part of that process and create some stuff for them. All right, cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's just being able to put that energy out into the universe, and then seeing what happens from it, seeing what transpires. So who knows?
Yeah, stay hungry.
Yeah, I mean that's the, if there's going to be a fifth thing, it's definitely. But I feel like that stays in the consistency part of it, like hunger, being constant, showing up, getting up every day, going to the studio. If it's only just throwing a little bit of paint on some sneakers or a canvas or whatever, and being able to get something out, feeling accomplished for that day. So yeah.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for coming on. If you guys have any more questions or you want some more information, you can follow him on Instagram at Laws of Lois, and you can find more of this at LouRaeGallery.com. But Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you, Austin. It was a pleasure.